Today I am flying WIZZ Air, one of Europe's largest low-cost carriers. The Hungarian airline has a very mixed reputation and many people see it as a less reliable version of Ryanair. But how bad is WIZZ Air, and more importantly, are they better or worse than their competition over in Dublin? As always, there is only one way to find out. Good morning guys, and welcome to Brussels South Charleroi Airport. Today we are flying Hungarian low-cost airline WIZZ Air to Warsaw, Poland, and yeah, it is absolutely freezing right now, so let's head inside and see what WIZZ Air is like. Brussels South Charleroi Airport is a typical low-cost airport as it caters mostly to Ryanair, WIZZ Air and EasyJet. It is located, well, nowhere near Brussels. The airport is actually in the city of Charleroi, around an hour south of the Belgian capital. And it's quite annoying to get here as it's not connected to the Belgian rail network. As such, you can either take a 1-hour bus journey or arrive by car from Brussels. Before security, there are a few overpriced coffee shops and convenience stores. This being a low-cost airport, you even have to pay to use the pre-security bathrooms. As we are looking at the check-in counters, it's important to mention that WIZZ Air charges extra for airport check-in. If you book the airport check-in in advance on their website, it costs 13 euros. If you, on the other hand, just show up and check in at the airport, you'll have to pay a whopping 40 euros. And that brings me to one of the most crucial things to know when booking a WIZZ Air ticket. Just like Ryanair, the basic fares are extremely low, but almost nothing is included. My flight today is W6 1382, departing Charleroi at 9:10 AM and arriving in Warsaw 2 hours later. Security took almost half an hour, which was mostly due to the fact that the checkpoints at CRL Airport are tiny. They really aren't designed to handle hundreds of passengers at the same time, which is probably a cost-cutting measure. The departure concourse, on the other hand, is pretty decent. There is a massive duty-free shopping area, as well as a food court. I ended up getting a coffee and a croissant for €5.60. Not cheap, but not outrageous either. Charleroi is today the second busiest airport in Belgium, with 8 million passengers per year. And even though there have been several expansions, it is still way too small in my opinion. This wasn't a particularly busy day, and yet every part of CRL Airport was absolutely ram-packed at 7 in the morning. At least the Wi-Fi is decent. It was soon time for boarding, and it's here where the WIZZ Air experience took a turn for the worse. The airline started boarding before our plane had even landed in Charleroi. Many low-cost airlines use this tactic, but it presupposes efficient deboarding, which wasn't the case on this flight. The plane arrived around half an hour before it was scheduled to take off again. At this point, almost all of the outgoing passengers were ready for boarding. Because of the airline's inefficiency, however, it took another 25 minutes before we could actually board. And during the wait, most passengers were crammed like sardines into this tiny staircase. Not great. As we are still waiting to board, let's talk about WIZZ Air's infamous baggage policy. If you book the cheapest possible fare, as I had done, you only get one small cabin bag. If you want to take a larger bag, you need to purchase an add-on, which can easily cost more than the fare itself. You can also buy the WIZZ Air Priority Package, which includes other things like seat reservation. This is usually better value than just buying an add-on. The prices for luggage on WIZZ Air depend on the flight and season. On this particular journey, adding a larger cabin bag would have doubled my ticket price, which is why I stuck with the smallest possible bag. Now you might be wondering whether they check bag sizes at the gate. Well, on this particular flight they did. The ground staff measured and weighed several bags, so I wouldn't risk the penalty for oversized luggage, which can cost up to €200 depending on the flight. At 9 AM, just 10 minutes before our scheduled departure time, we were finally let out of the staircase. I have to say that this boarding process was an absolute mess. I recently reviewed Ryanair and their boarding process was much more efficient, 1-0. And here's our plane, an Airbus A321ceo. WIZZ Air has 41 of those, but many are gradually being replaced by A321neos. The plane has 230 seats in a 3+3 configuration. Some front rows have more legroom and they obviously cost more. And here's my seat, 17 Alpha. I paid extra to get this window seat in the middle of the plane. So, what are the seats like? Well, the legroom isn't great, but on par with other low-cost carriers. The seats are actually pretty decent, even though they don't recline and don't offer headrests. There is a tray table and a seat back pocket with a magazine. We'll get to that later. But yeah, this is WIZZ Air, so the seats really aren't all that important, and you cannot expect much comfort. What you can't expect either is cleanliness. Overall, this plane was pretty filthy. Now, two things really matter here: cost and reliability. So, did this plane leave Brussels on time? The short answer is no. We left our parking position 12 minutes after the scheduled departure time, mostly because of the inefficient boarding procedure. We then spent another 8 minutes on the apron before taking off at 9:30 AM, 20 minutes behind schedule. Alright then, time for the onboard experience. There are obviously no plugs or USB ports, but there is a pretty interesting in-flight magazine. Aside from some cool travel guides, it talks about WIZZ Air's fleet and their destinations. The airline has expanded rapidly in recent years and now flies to over 50 countries, including most of Europe, but also the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Israel and Jordan. The longest flight you can book on WIZZ Air is Milan to Abu Dhabi, which takes about 7 hours. Not sure if I would like to spend that much time on this kind of plane. The food menu is actually quite extensive, but here comes the twist. Almost nothing was available. I wanted to purchase a hot meal to check the quality, but the crew, which was lovely by the way, told me that they only serve sandwiches. They didn't even offer this tasty looking cold breakfast combo meal. I've had this situation on previous WIZZ Air flights, which is why I believe that none of their planes are equipped to serve the entire menu. This is just speculation though, so if you guys know more, please enlighten me in the comments down below. I ended up buying a combo meal, which included a ham and cheese sandwich, a coffee, and a bag of peanuts for €8. The sandwich was okay, not great, not terrible. Unfortunately, I have to mention Ryanair again. Even on 2-hour flights, you can purchase a tasty lasagna and some other hot meals. As such, they win this round as well. I ended up getting a bit of sleep before checking out the loo, which wasn't very well kept, in line with the rest of the plane. And just like that, 2 hours flew by. The pilot wasn't actually able to cancel out our initial delay. We landed in Warsaw at 11:30 AM, 20 minutes late. Not a disaster, but still a delay. As both Belgium and Poland are part of the Schengen zone, there was no passport control. And with no checked luggage, I was out of the airport in no time at all. So how much did this journey cost? Well, I paid €40.99, which is obviously very cheap. The base fare was €24.99 and I paid $16 for my seat. With a larger cabin bag, however, this ticket would have cost 80 euros, and with checked luggage, 150. And here's my conclusion. WIZZ Air isn't all that bad, but be careful with the add-ons and hidden fees. So what's the score? WIZZ Air gets a 5 out of 10. They just aren't as reliable or punctual as Ryanair, which is why I would recommend the Irish low-cost giant if you have the choice between the two. But WIZZ Air gets you from A to B for very reasonable prices. And at the end of the day, that is what counts. Let me know what you guys think of WIZZ Air. Are they better or worse than the competition? As always, thanks very much for watching and see you again next time. Goodbye.